Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another week of the Self-Love Club. It is hopefully a beautiful day where you are. I feel like the seasons are flying by and I have no idea how it's the end of October. I'm actually very confused because it really just felt like fall had just begun, even though we're really into fall now and we're really into the end of the year, which is a little bit scary. I'm trying not to have an existential crisis about what did I do in 2023 and what does 2024 bring? What does it mean? What do I want? So I'm slowing down. I'm breathing. I'm trying to be more present. And hopefully that's something that you already know how to do because I'm really learning how to do that. It's definitely something that has come in and out in my lifetime of a skill set that I would have. I would say when I was young, like a child, I was definitely more present because I wasn't responsible for all of the plans in life. But since becoming, an adult, a young adult in my late teens and early 20s, being present wasn't necessarily something that has come easily to me. And I'm working on it. But I'm working on a few things, which I think is actually something I'm very proud of. I've realized that it's important to be choosing personal growth, not necessarily chasing, but choosing personal growth and being aware of the aspects in your life that you want to focus a little bit more on, that you want to give a bit more attention and just get to know yourself better. And that's one thing I've definitely been leaning on as I've been in my 30s for a few years now. I would say the last 4 or 5 years, even my late 20s, have been a lot about getting to know myself and growing in the relationship I have with myself. And that's why we have intentions. And hopefully that's why you're here at the Self-Love Club, is because you are also looking to grow in your relationship with self, but also to do it with a community because it's so beautiful to be able to do it together and to just not feel alone. I was texting a friend recently about recovering from surgery. And I just first off want to thank all of you for listening to last week's episode. There was a lot of great feedback, DMs, messages I got from the story that I shared that was my personal story with endometriosis. And it really just means a lot that so many of you listened to it and could relate and just understood the journey of advocating for your health and trusting your body even when other people maybe are telling you you're lying about your body. So I just want to give a shout out to everyone who is facing that, who has faced that, and just know that you're not alone. And that goes back to the text that I was having with my friend. So her and I were texting about how I'm feeling in recovery. And one of the biggest things I was saying is how exhausted I feel, and that part of me thinks that because I physically look like I'm healing, my incisions are really healing up nicely, like there's a lot of progress happening, that I should also have that progress in my energy level, my day-to-day life, that I should be back at like my full capacity. And she was just validating my feelings that yes, the exhaustion is real. She had been through the surgery, an even more intense one last year, and she was really just giving me space to understand that what I'm feeling is normal and that I shouldn't be questioning it. I shouldn't be worried about, am I on track? Am I at pace with healing? And that was just really nice to have someone who heard me for where I was and didn't make me feel like I should be in a different place, and really just validated what I was going through. And that's really what we're doing here with the Self-Love Club, is just validating each other's emotions and experiences, because we truly are never alone in all the stuff that we go through. We have seasons of changes and struggles and triumphs, and we are in it together, which is why we are talking about trust. Because trust is really important. Yes, I talked about trust with like your self-trust, the trust in your body, but we don't really fully understand trust in relationships a lot, I think, because maybe we haven't seen it exampled in front of us. We haven't truly been taught it. We haven't been told what that looks like. I think a lot of movies don't depict relationships that have a good amount of trust in them. I think a lot of movies and TV shows only depict volatile relationships or unrealistically happy ones, and don't show the ups and downs that relationships have. And this is more, I would say, for romantic partnerships, but also very much for friendships as well. Because trust is something that is vital when you are growing with someone, when you are getting into a partnership and you are building together, you are interweaving and intertwining your lives together. You really need to be able to trust your partner, your friend, whatever it may be. And sometimes that whole concept of trust in a relationship leaves us a little dumbfounded of where do we begin? How do we even figure out trust? How do we know we can trust this person? And I think that's a big one too, is how do you even know if this person is worthy of your trust? And I've heard this before, I think in other areas than trust, but a lot of it goes back to trust is you have to earn my trust or you have to earn my respect. And that's something that kind of goes against my moral compass, I guess, in a way, or like my instinct. I don't want to have to put people at a certain level where they have to earn it. I want to be able to lead with that type of vulnerability and open up myself to trust them. And if they prove me wrong, then that's when I would stop trusting them, or I would start to pull back and question this type of relationship. And that's something that, again, is very much my personal opinion. So this is me sharing my personal opinion. If it doesn't align with you, that's completely fine. We're all different. But I think for me, going into relationships when I was dating and when I was meeting new people, is I wanted to go in with an open mindset. I wanted to go in already giving them the, I guess, benefit of the doubt, but giving them the opportunity that I would trust them until I felt that that was not there in the relationship. And I think the easiest way is paying attention to those red flags, which, yes, is very much a hot topic right now, but they're there for a reason. And part of that is you have to be able to trust yourself to even recognize a red flag. So if you're starting to date someone, you're in a new relationship and things seem to be going well, conversations are getting deeper, you feel that, the connection is there. And I know this happens to many of us. I can attest to that. There might be a day or a conversation or a moment or literally just this like flip of a switch feeling where you can feel them pulling back. You can feel a bit of distance being put in between you for no reason. There was not a reason communicated. There wasn't something that happened that resulted in this sort of pulling back. It's something that the other person has just decided to start doing. And I think, I know from my personal experience, a lot of times when that happens, our vulnerability starts to feel even more apparent. We start to really feel vulnerable and scared and almost weak in the situation. And so we kind of ignore those gut feelings that we might be having about why this person is pulling back, what that could mean. And so we try to fill the space that they've pulled back from. So we start to push a bit more. We start to overcompensate. And if we were able to slow down, and I'm saying this, if I was able to slow down in my past relationships or dating situations and actually listen to my gut and trust my intuition on what I was feeling, is if they're pulling back, it's not my responsibility to start to push forward. If they want to step back and they need to either get clarity or have distance or whatever it may be for them, that's totally okay. But I don't want to be chasing someone. I don't want to be convincing someone to spend time with me or whatever it may be. And I need to trust that feeling that I have and trust that if this relationship is supposed to continue, whether long-term or get past this hurdle, whatever it may be, that I need to give that person space, that I need to give them what they are not directly asking for, because a lot of times, again, there's no communication around this and they just start to pull back. So if this is something you felt or you're experiencing, you're not alone. We have seen this happen a lot in, I would say, today's day and age of dating, a lot of what ends up being ghosting for no apparent reason. And it doesn't always go as far as ghosting, but it does feel like things are going well, you're on this path, and then suddenly there was a switch and it flipped and you can just feel the difference. And that's where you really want to be able to slow down and sit and start to understand what you're feeling, recognize it, and trust that you have shown up as yourself, as the best version of yourself, because that's who you are. Where you're at right now is the best version, and you're constantly bettering yourself. And that's what's amazing about growth mostly, is you're always working on growing. And there's going to be seasons that you don't love, but you are still showing up as your best self. And so in this relationship, situationship, whatever you want to call it, you need to trust that you've been your best self, that you've shown up in your true, authentic way. You've been vulnerable. You've been leading with openness, communication. And if this person doesn't match that, then you should trust the, I guess, red flag that you're seeing, or trust your gut and intuition that maybe this isn't the right person for you, or the timing isn't right and you need to give them more space. And you need to give yourself space to remember, what do I really want out of someone that I'm with? Is this the type of behavior I want to have happen over and over in a relationship with someone? Or would I prefer someone who can communicate what's going on with me if they're navigating something? If they're having, a hard time, or they're caught up in work or life or whatever it may be, can they communicate it to me? So this is where the slowing down, being present in your emotions, and trusting those feelings that are kind of niggling in the back of your mind about, no, I shouldn't be filling the space, or I don't really like how this person's treating me. And instead of ignoring that and ignoring those intuitions you're having, we want to be able to recognize them and respect them. And at the end of the day, respect ourselves in these relationships, especially as you're trying to grow and navigate building a new partnership with someone. And it's great when you get past that, because I think a lot of times when you're building relationships, whether romantic or platonic, there is going to be hurdles. And sometimes the hurdles are easily communicated depending on the people that are in the relationship, that maybe communication is already something they've practiced. Or maybe it's not. And there's going to be lulls. There's going to be, give and take in any relationship. And you've made it past this early situationship of getting to know each other, finally building that connection, and you're in this relationship with one another. And one thing that I always struggled with, and I would say that I can often revert back to when I'm feeling, I would say, uncomfortable or insecure or just not as confident in myself and my relationship, is I stop trusting on my partner. I stop allowing them to show up. I put up my walls of, I can do it, I can handle it, I don't need anyone else, this like independent thing, which yes, we do want to be independent beings, but when you're in a partnership, you do need to have that intertwining dependency on one another. And so being able to lean on them and allowing them to show up, and also trusting them to show up. And that was one of the biggest things for me when I was dating, and even when I got into my relationship with my now husband, is I didn't give him the opportunity to be there for me 100% because I didn't fully give him my trust. I was always holding back a little bit of my trust because I thought, well, if I let him show up for X, Y, and Z, what if it doesn't happen? What if he disappoints me and then I have to go back to doing everything on my own? So I might as well just like mostly do everything on my own and give him like a slice of work that he can help me out with, or a slice of my emotions that I'm navigating, but never fully trusting him to be 100% partner. And that's something that took time for both of us to understand, and a lot of communication. And he was very good about telling me that I was not trusting him in these aspects of our relationship and sharing my life. And when you want to share your life with someone, again, platonic or romantic, you're sharing your life because you are building this type of connection where you are intertwined. You need to be able to trust them. And that goes with friends, sharing your insecurities, sharing your fears, things that you're navigating. And if you're not leading with vulnerability, they're not going to reciprocate. And I say this over and over, but you really do need to lead with vulnerability in order to receive that type of deep connection that you're looking for. If you're always holding back even 10%, that's what you're going to get in return. That's the energy that you're going to be receiving from others. It's because it's the energy you're giving. So to be able to trust someone, you need to be able to show up as your authentic self, as your raw, vulnerable being, and give them the opportunity to be there for you. And again, that doesn't mean it's always going to happen. I would love to say that if you show up as your true self and you open yourself 100% and you let other people in, then you can fully trust them and it's just like rainbows and butterflies from there. But that is just unfortunately not the case, but this is how we learn and how we learn to recognize signs, red flags, or even just feelings of this person really seems aligned with me. This person is someone that I can continue to grow into a deeper relationship with. And so you have to give people the opportunity to show up for you so that you can trust them. They can't earn your trust if you're never giving them an opportunity to. If you're always holding back or you're only giving them a slice of things, they're not going to be able to show you and prove to you that they are ride or die there for you 100%. And I think, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what a lot of us are looking for in our relationships, is that really deep, authentic connection where we can go through life, the highs and the lows together. And it's hard. It's hard to be the person that allows someone to come in, allows them to see us at our bottom and really see us for who we are and trust them as we are going through that. And I think the biggest one is trusting them to love us while we're navigating that. I think trust with like secrets or trust with insecurities is one thing, but trusting someone to show up and love you while you're having a hard time can be a really scary thing. But I promise you, when you find that person or those people, because there's going to be many different people in your life that will love you no matter what, once you're able to trust them and you give them that space to show up, that relationship is going to hit a whole new level and is going to feel so connected and so deep that you didn't even realize you could feel this way with other people. And it takes time. And that's okay. Trust isn't like a switch that you turn on or off. It's not something you can say, well, I met you, it's going well, I 100% trust you. It's baby steps. It's checking in with yourself. It's a lot of journaling. I think one of the biggest things for me that has always helped is journaling through my emotions, especially when I'm feeling these like gut feelings or my subconscious or my instincts are telling me something. It's easy to, in my mind, kind of push them to the side or push them away and ignore them. But when I journal them, I start to really understand what I'm feeling, and then I can break it down into, oh, I don't feel good in this relationship. I don't feel good with this person. I actually don't think I trust them because they're already making me feel uncomfortable or insecure or vulnerable beyond a place that feels safe. And that's not the type of person I want in my life. So if you're ever feeling like, okay, well, where do I begin with trust? I think a lot of things that we can do is really just begin to reflect on relationships you have. So whether that's friendships or maybe there's someone you're dating or in a relationship with, but being able to actually build that relationship with them, connect with them, and then be able to journal about it. So seeing how that relationship is going, start journaling, write about it, see how you're feeling. And then that's a way that you can start to determine, is there trust there? Is this something that you can grow in, or is this something that maybe isn't serving you anymore? And it really is all about listening to yourself, building that trust within yourself, because it's really hard to trust someone else if you can't trust yourself. If you can't trust your intuition, how are you supposed to trust anyone else? So that really is a number one thing. And you can go back to, I think it was 2 weeks ago or maybe 3 weeks ago, our self-trust episode. But that one talks a lot about learning to hear your inner voice and trust it. But it does serve you when you're building relationships with other people and you're building trust with others. And again, my personal opinion, but I do think going into relationships with the opportunity to allow someone to build on trust and not have to prove it to you will allow you to build a more authentic and deep connection with those people. So that's just my opinion. That's my stand on trust with others. And hopefully you can relate a little bit to that instead of going in like on the defense or the offense. You're kind of going in neutral. You're allowing them to show up as themselves and you're showing up as yourself, because again, leading with vulnerability will always result in a win, no matter what. Whatever it feels like, even in the moment, if it doesn't feel like a win and you had your heart broken or things didn't go the way you wanted, you showed up in a vulnerable way as yourself and you learned from that. And you will be able to continuously grow from those hurdles and maybe what feels like setbacks. I promise you, it is always going to propel you forward. So when it comes to trust, I just want you to know that it doesn't happen overnight, but trusting yourself will lead to more trusting relationships and partnerships in this world. And That's what we're here for. And if you want to talk about trust, please DM me. You can find me on Instagram at It's Mary Young, which is our brand account, or you can DM me directly at Maria Foriata. You can follow us on YouTube. Everywhere on the internet, we basically are. And we are building different ways to have more conversations together because it just feels so special to be able to talk about these things together and grow in relationship with one another, but also independently because, again, that relationship we have with ourselves is the number one most important relationship. And if you haven't started journaling, this is my reminder that journaling may bring you so much joy and clarity in understanding what you're going through and the emotions that you have. I hope you have a wonderful day and remember to love yourself first.